Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of the best Nintendo podcast, really the best video game podcast in the atmosphere. Thank you for being a part of the Spawncast Network Patreon page and getting this and so much more content early. If you're missing out, I highly suggest you check out the Patreon. Link will be in the description box down below. But we're here to talk about some Nintendo stuff. What appeared to be a quiet week turned into some things worth talking about. I am joined, as always, by Josie Woe. Josie, how we doing?
I'm super good. I am excited to talk about the Mario Direct thing. That was kind of awesome. So,
All right,
yeah.
spoilers, jeez. And Nate the Hate
What do
is
you
here,
mean?
as always. Nate, how we feeling?
Feeling good. We are on the brink of football season. We just had the Mario Direct, so it's been a good week and lots to
Starfield
talk
came
about.
out.
Starfield came out. That's
Well,
right.
it's coming out, I should say.
Yeah, it's an hour away. Well, I think it actually came out an hour ago as of recording.
Okay. Been playing anything interesting this week? Anyone? Anything worth talking about? I've been playing a few things, but I figure I'll let one of you guys go first.
I've been playing River City Girls, which is awesome.
Yeah, did you get a little review copy for that?
I did get a little review copy. It's probably the coolest moment of my little YouTube career.
Look at
I was
you
kind of
go.
freaking out. I
Wonder
know.
Wonder who helped you out with that.
I appreciate it. But it's been really, really fun. I a lot of people have recommended it to me because I like sort of got on a little beat 'em up kick of like the more recent ones with Street Fighter. Or wow, that was completely the wrong.
Double
Streets
Dragon?
of Rage.
Oh.
Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, and Shredder's Revenge. And then I played Scott Pilgrim and stuff. So it's really fun.
Do you have the Turtles collection?
No, I don't. I think I need to get that.
Yeah, you need to get that. You'll enjoy them. At the very least, you'll enjoy the 2 arcade games and Turtles in Time. Some of the NES ones, like Turtles 2 is an NES version of Turtles 1, the arcade game, so it's kind of skippable. But Turtles 3 is actually pretty solid for a beat 'em up game. But yeah, I think you would enjoy that. Nate,
Yeah.
you played anything?
Playing some Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, sir.
Very fun game. Quality game at that. Have also been still playing through Beat Saber, trying to see if I can get the platinum in that. But I just have a couple of trophies that I don't know if I'm going to get to the high enough skill level to get there. And I have to return to Shredder's Revenge. We just had the DLC drop. So
yeah, I gotta
kind of have to
up.
revisit that.
Yeah, I think we should do a Spawncast plays on that.
We should.
I've been playing, as far as new stuff is concerned. Well, I mean, technically they're both new. Sea of Stars. By the time you watch this, I probably will have a video up on the channel about it. You know me. I even say this in my video. I hate when people overhype things, and I definitely thought this was a case of overhyping. But it's actually really good. It's really fun, and it's the combat that draws me in, because it's turn-based, but it's interactive turn-based, meaning that if somebody's attacking you, you press A at the right time and they do less damage. And if you're attacking them, you press A at the right time and you do more damage. And then there's specific moves. Like there's one move, for instance, it's a special move where you're volleying something back and forth. And if you get, your rhythm down, you could do like big damage with it. So it's a very charming game. I don't know. The story's all right, but the gameplay is awesome, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And I've been playing the best ROM hack for the N64 of all time, WWF Legends Challenge 64. It got me in good graces with Reset Era. Someone on Reset Era shared my video to show how cool it was, and only one person complained about me. But
Wow.
it's so fucking awesome.
That's a new record.
Yeah, especially on there. Dude, it's so awesome. I was just playing it before we went on, and like time just flies when you're playing it. The roster is great. Everyone has a million different attires. Each arena is based on old wrestling arenas: Madison Square Garden, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania 3, Saturday Night Main Event, so on and so forth. Each arena has dedicated announcers. So the old versions of these games, it was a fucking nightmare to get it to run. As of like last week, could barely get it to run, and I never could get the audio to run because you had to run like a hex file alongside of the game in order to have the imported audio work, to get like wrestlers' theme songs, to get the commentary. So I never really messed around with it because it was just way over my head. But now they've streamlined it, and each individual arena has different announce teams. So like you have combinations of like Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura. You have Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura, Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heaton. Like it's just a revolving door of people. And you know, it's not like they're calling the action one for one or anything like that, but they use general stuff to make it, you know, engaging. And what the people did was they went back and ripped commentary from wrestling episodes and put it in the game, like got high quality audio of it to put it in the game. Like it's not an AI or it's so good. It's exactly what I've wanted. It's the perfect game in my opinion. All right. And I have a video up on it. Go watch it.
So you got the video. And on the topic of wrestling, rest in peace to Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk.
Oh,
Legends.
my God.
Legends.
You know, Terry, we'll get into video games in a second, I promise people. Terry was a tough one for me because I've been a fan of Terry Funk for a very long time, but I find comfort in that as crazy as that motherfucker was, he lived to be 79. Many of his peers never even sniffed 50. So like, you know, obviously his last few years, they weren't his best in terms of physically and mentally, but he lived a very long and complete life. Bray Wyatt, on the other hand, you know, he was 36. That's 2 years younger than me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, younger than me as well. And, you know, I always enjoyed the Bray Wyatt character, the baseline of his theme when he would come out, the promos he could give. And as much as creative would sabotage him time and time again with bad booking, he continued to reinvent himself and would always have the crowd interested in what he was doing. Definitely one of the most inventive, creative minds in the wrestling industry that we may ever see. But to go at 36 years old, I mean, that's a true tragedy.
Oh, he has a kid on I think he has a kid on the way or just one, but he has like 4 kids. Some of them are his, some of them are his wife's from a previous thing, but I think there was 4 kids left behind and potentially a 5th, or maybe the 4th was the one that was just born. I'm not 100% sure, but you know, it's a tough business, man. It's a tough business, and you know, we're starting to get to that age where, you know, all the people we grew up with, you know, they're starting to
Getting old.
Yeah, they're starting to leave us. And you know, you didn't really have that. I swear we're gonna get into video games in a second. You really didn't have that as much. Like our parents' generation, I don't think it was quite the same. You know what I'm saying? Because media wasn't what it was, you know, come like the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. Like you grew attachments to these people. You literally grew up with these people. You know, in some cases, you know, these people were your inspirations. They were, you know, they were there to guide you, you know, if you know, you had whatever situation going on at home. So yeah, it's a goddamn shame, man. Rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace to Terry Funk. Josie has no idea what we're talking about, but that's okay.
R.I.P. Terry Funk.
Hey, she's a funker. She went to Funk U University. I used to have a Funk U University shirt. I wish I still had it. All right, but let's get into some of the topics of this week. One of the more interesting topics is the Nintendo Switch keeps on rolling. We have now surpassed the Wii U's, or we surpassed the Wii U quite a while ago. The Wii sales in North America, which is very impressive. That system had that Ellen DeGeneres appeal where it was on, you know, every television show in the world, and now it's surpassed that. And, you know, obviously it's been a bit of a different life cycle. You know, the Wii was kind of a massive spurt and then a sharp decline, whereas the Switch, you know, yes, it's on the downside, but still, you know, it's still doing numbers and stuff like that. So pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing about it is when you look at the trajectory of Wii sales, it was a success right out of the gate, and it had those 3 to 4 years of just unrivaled sales. So the Switch never hit the highs that the Wii was having in the North America region, but the Switch has been that stable, steady seller since 2017. So even though it has taken longer to achieve this milestone of over what I believe it is 40 million, 41 million
Oh.
in North America, it's just been a nice stable sell through while the Wii was doing, you know, 3 million sales sometimes in December. The Switch has never achieved that. But the longevity of the system is something we really haven't seen, potentially going back to the PlayStation 2.
Right. I think the consistency just of the system and like the overall quality of most of the output too, I think has just gone into making it constantly sell and sell and sell on top of the fact that we have had multiple iterations of it. We really only had that one iteration of the Wii, I think, at the end, right? Just that top loader.
Yeah.
We
Well,
we
there
also
was
had a slight redesign where they removed the GameCube ports.
yeah.
It
Right.
was still the
Okay.
same shape, but they just removed that one thing. So it was kind of a silent revision that didn't
Okay.
add anything.
And then you had
Yeah, and it
the mini at the end.
right, the mini. Yeah, and those aren't like telling people to go out and grab them. You know, you wouldn't want to lose a feature like the GameCube thing. So I think what the Switch has done well is just creating like an ecosystem of consoles where a lot of people have more than one at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have multiples, but now I'm down to two. But I mean, that's still more than
Yeah,
one. Um,
exactly.
you know, and like we've talked about previously, could it potentially catch the PS2? I mean, it has a chance. It just kind of depends on how everything sort of plays out over the next, well, I'd say 8 to 12 months. You know, I think within 8 to 12 months, we'll be able to take a solid guess as to whether or not that's going to happen. I know some people out there think it's a foregone conclusion, but we like to live in a more realistic area here.
You see, that's the thing where people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's definitely going to happen." If we take the current sales forecast that Nintendo has for the remainder of the fiscal year, we will come in at, I believe, about 140. So we're still 16 to 18 million units shy of the PlayStation 2. So depending on what Nintendo forecasts for the coming fiscal year, so we're talking 2024 into early 2025, we will have a better idea if Nintendo even, envisions matching the PlayStation 2 because they could come in next April and say, what we're anticipating for Switch sales is only to ship 10 million units. Well, now all of a sudden that 160 million figure doesn't sound all that practical anymore because the likelihood of going into 2025 for the 2026 fiscal year is that Nintendo is going to decrease those sales even further, potentially to 5 million units. So Nintendo may never even ship 160 million Nintendo Switch units. So right now, yeah, it's a nice speculative angle of could it achieve this? It's all dependent on what Nintendo sees for the future for the platform. But once the successor is out, there is that chance Nintendo just says we're cutting production of the Switch and we're ready to move on to a next gen platform. And Nintendo doesn't care about the milestone. They're not going to go out of their way to achieve the best-selling home console of all time. They're going to look at it as a business and say it's getting too expensive to manufacture these Tegra X1 SoCs and right now, and we're going to make our pivot to our successor hardware. So if we come in at 154 million sales, job well done. We're happy with that figure. Now let's go on to our next project and hopefully we can replicate that success. But as you said, we'll find out in a year what Nintendo is forecasting going into the new fiscal year and whether or not 150 is even feasible for Nintendo at that point.
Josie, got something to
Yeah.
say?
I I agree. I'm excited to see how far we can push the Switch. I mean, I don't really know what to add to Nate's little poetic statement there. It was really nicely said.
I was just
Yeah.
checking, making sure you're still awake.
I
I'm
will.
here.
I'll let Josie go first before I pontificate any further.
No, you can
No,
pontificate.
I mean you can pontificate, and if I have anything specific, I just I don't know. I agree. There's not a lot. What do you think about this, RGT? What do you have to add to Nate's statement?
Nothing. I think he hit the nail on the head, and I
Let's
don't
see.
have to follow it. Look, I'm the host here by
Okay,
default somehow.
You know what we should do? We should have a word a week, and we can have like a Pee-wee's Playhouse reaction if one of us say it.
R.I.P. Pee-wee, man. You're gonna get me on my feelings again with that.
God.
R.I.P. Pee-wee. That's tough, man. That was tough. So yeah,
It was.
Switch stuff keeps rolling around. Now we got a better look at our big game coming up. Obviously, this will be one of the main topics here today. Super Mario Brothers Wonder. There had been rumors that something was going to potentially happen with that game this week, and it looks like, hey, those rumors came to fruition. Super Mario Brothers Wonder got a 15-minute or roughly 16-minute direct. 15 minutes of that was dedicated to Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and 1 minute or so was dedicated to a Nintendo Switch variant. Speaking of different Switch variants, a really plain and boring red Nintendo Switch OLED, as the speaker would refer to it as. It has a little Mario icon in the corner, and on the little flap, when you turn the flap down to put in your HDMI cable, hey, there's some coins.
Kind of cool.
I'm pretty sure they just reused the red Mario dock from the other Mario version, and I don't know, maybe it was a little darker. I'm looking at it right now because I have it right next to me. Maybe it was a little darker than this, but
Yeah, I think it's a slightly different shade of red, but I'm colorblind, so don't take my word for it.
and I use that to my advantage every time we play a game.
True.
But yeah, very, very sort of pointless. I will say before we get into the game itself, thank God there was absolutely zero time spent on introducing the new Mario voice. I would have been very annoyed with that. Nobody even knew it was a different voice. Nobody knew. Maybe 5 people on the internet knew.
There was some speculation over the sound and tone from the original trailer where people were wondering if a change had been made, but the majority of people did watch that trailer and didn't notice that it was a new voice. And obviously, yes, Nintendo came out, confirmed that Charles Martinet is not the voice, and it became a huge talking point where everyone suddenly knew it wasn't him. So, a little bit of
Their
bad
childhoods,
face acting.
their childhoods were ruined because that Wahoo and So Long Gay Bowser, that was my childhood. Yeah, you played Super Mario 64, haven't you?
Yeah.
When you throw Bowser, so long, Gay Bowser.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
that was
didn't
the
know that's what
talking
he
point
said.
in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
Didn't
also
realize.
came back up with Mario Galaxy, where people were noticing the stars on the letters of the game pointed out, "You are Mr. Gay." So that was a thing back then as well.
I saw a
So
screenshot or something like that. That's bizarre.
yeah, you can find it, and people talked about it a lot when they first noticed it. You know what, Sean? You and I, when we grew up, the voice of Mario wasn't Charles Martinet.
No, it wasn't.
It was Captain Lou Albano.
Captain Lou, baby. Swing your arms from side to side. Come on and do the Mario. Like, that was Mario. Mario didn't have a voice until the N64. So,
I think he had it in Mario Teaches Typing.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
And that was
though.
Charles Martinet.
We didn't have computers. We were poor.
That's true.
We
I
were-
never even knew it was a game until very recent.
We weren't like John, who had, I was playing Doom and Quake. Yeah,
I was online in 1989.
I was walking to the park by myself. You had a park? Wow, it must be nice. But anyways, getting back to Super Mario Wonder. We're going to start with the good, the questionable, or the bad. Tell me where you want to go with this, and we can all... Go
I'd
ahead.
love to know what you thought was bad.
Okay. Bad. The talking flower. I better be able to turn that damn thing off. I don't want you to talk to me. It annoyed the hell out of me watching that. I was like, what is this? No. I do not like this. I don't like it. I don't need some little flower giving me little weird quips. Somebody told me that they think it's the Ring Fit Adventure voice.
Oh.
And I think they might be correct with it. I don't like
Yeah.
it. I don't like it. Does anyone else feel the same? Please, at least somewhat feel the same. Come
I
on,
did
it's
not.
annoying.
I did not. I think it's fine.
But
I think it's kind of funny. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, Mario should be voice acted." I think this is gonna be voice
I never
acted,
said
and then
that.
they like,
I never
no,
said
I'm not. I'm not saying you. I'm not going to say RGT said this. I'm saying like some people. I guess I did say everyone, but some people. Some people were like, "Oh, it'd be cool if Mario was voice acted." And Nintendo heard that and was like, "Yeah, we'll give the stupid flower a voice." And it's
See,
kind of funny.
It's a stupid flower. Even you agree.
I mean, it's dumb, but it's like I don't have an issue with it. I think it's kind of funny.
Nate, how are we feeling about the flower?
I'm okay with what I heard in this particular presentation. Now, how is it going to translate when I'm actually playing the game? That's going to be a different scenario. It could become very tiring and very grating after an extended period of time, but I could see with well-written lines and delivery, it could provide some moments of humor. So right now I'm indifferent on it.
This flower is like the how-to flower, right? He's like tells you what to do and all that kind of.
Sometimes he just says random crap though.
Oh,
Like encourage. I don't need encouragement, sir or madam, whatever flower you identify as. I mean, don't they have pollen and stuff like that? So are there boy and girl flowers? Like no, right? They're asexual.
They have
Because they have the bees.
pollen. Yeah, they have the seed, and we don't need to get into the anatomy of a plant.
Kind of insane.
We should. We're teaching people stuff here. But yeah, I hated the flower. But everything else, well, mostly everything else, is very, very satisfied with. I'm not quite sure. How do I say this? I'm not quite sure it's like the complete reinvention that people were thinking. But I do think as long as the wonder stuff is implemented rather frequently, it could be very, very interesting. We got an interview with Wired that sort of broke down a lot of the things that they wanted to do and how the game wasn't going to be rushed because they wanted to include every crazy idea that they could, even if they felt like they couldn't. They wanted to find a way to do it. And what I saw from the wonder stuff looked amazing. Like I love when things are normal and then everything just gets crazy, like a drug trip. You know what I'm saying? So that's why some people do drugs, because they want to, taking shrooms and stuff. That's what happens, bro. Your world just,
it's like Yoshi's Island on the Super NES when you would hit that big pollen puffer thing, and Yoshi would get stoned. He'd walk on, and the music would get all trippy, and the world would go all blurry and stuff.
If only you could dump that baby in a dumpster. Anyways, I didn't like that game either. Like I like
the crying baby.
Yes,
crying baby is the flower equivalent to you.
Yes, 100%. That's what it makes me think.
Turn the volume off and listen to a podcast.
I need to hear the game's music, Josie Woe. Mario games are known for their music. Like I would like
the full name.
Just let me turn the flower off. If you give me the option, I'll be happy. But no, like the different perspectives, and then you're like in the clouds jumping on, like very, very cool stuff. It gives the game charm that we haven't seen in a 2D Mario game in a very, very, I would say since like what, the first new Super Mario Brothers game on the DS. Like that game was very different than what we had gotten, but everything since then has been so similar.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. When you look back at the 2D Mario games, every single one had charm and personality, and they all had a factor that differentiated itself from the prior entry. And then that new line was just so stagnant. It felt like a carbon copy of the prior release. There was no innovation in terms of music design, visual design. It just felt as though they were rinsing and repeating a formula over and over again. And that was a pity for older ones of us who would play games in the 2D Mario franchise, because the evolution from, Mario Brothers 3 to Super Mario World was huge. Even going from Super Mario World to Yoshi's Island was a significant departure from what we were used to. And then the new line just became very sterile. So what we're seeing with Wonder is very invigorating, and it's unique, it's creative, it's inventive. It's what we had come to expect from a 2D Mario. So for them to return to the roots of the franchise and get creative again definitely piques my interest and makes me excited to play the game in just over 2 months now. And that's exactly what 2D Mario needed, because the 3D Mario games always reinvent themselves. And for whatever reason, Nintendo, I don't want to say got lazy, they just got a bit too complacent when it came to the 2D Mario line. Maybe they didn't view it as vital or important to their game library. And now it seems as though they recognize we can make these major releases for our platform. the potential is there, and they finally let the team just go all out and try new ideas, try new visual techniques, and we could potentially be on the precipice of the finest 2D Mario game in the last 2 to 3 decades.
Yeah. I think it's always great when Nintendo gets weird and wacky with it because they just come up with like the craziest things that no other company would ever like attempt really. And I think it's like RGT said in that interview or article where he was talking about how they just really didn't put any deadline on there and let them go wild with it. They came up with over 2,000 different possible outcomes and ideas, and they completely reinvented all the power-ups and things like that, and I think it just shows that oftentimes I feel like with Nintendo, I guess it's like they're very stuck in their ways and they want to do things their way most of the time, but this feels like they're finally letting loose a little bit and just coming up with something very fun and creative.
Mhm.
And these games have always New Super Mario Bros, even just rinse and repeated, has sold very well. I think the one on the Switch has like almost 10 million copies, right?
Yes, either
Yeah.
around 10 million or if not above 10 million.
Yeah. So, like, they could have very well just put out another one and it would have done well. But I think it speaks a lot to how Nintendo just really wants to please the fans and make something special and different. And I hope that the trajectory of what this is setting for the Mario 2D franchise continues because I'd love for them to
Mhm.
do other weird and wacky things like this. And I absolutely loved this, just the whole look at the game. I thought it was great.
I honestly feel as though they had to do what they did with Wonder, where they reinvented things and went in an exciting new direction to kind
Mhm.
of save the 2D Mario line. Because when you have a decade of very safe, sterile releases, fans can often begin to sit there and say, well, if you're not really putting in any inspiration, I'm gonna begin to lose interest in this. And yes, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe has sold exceptionally well because it was kind of the first entry for a lot of people due to the Wii U underperforming and not a lot of
Right.
people buying that platform. But there's still a sizable audience who had played the game on the Wii U, was familiar with New Super Mario Brothers 2. They played the first one on the DS, then they played it on the Wii. Where it's just becoming that, like, yeah, this is fine. But everyone was waiting for innovation, and Nintendo did deliver on it. Though there is one concern about the game for me, and it may be exclusive to me, but the director of the game
Mm-mm.
Mm.
was the programmer of the
Mm.
camera in Mario Sunshine.
That's I don't think that's a crazy thing to say because that's a little concerning to me too. Like,
Luckily, the game doesn't have a camera.
Right, there's no yeah, that's what I was about to say.
So they did take away his greatest flaw.
you
But
know,
I did see that in his credits. I was like, "Oh, no."
Fuck Mario Sunshine.
you know, people out there act like Mario Sunshine's a great game. It's not, and it's okay to admit that it's not. But no, I definitely agree. It was a much needed sort of refresh, and I think they're doing a good job with the refresh. Now, talked about the bad, stupid flower. Talked about the great, power ups look good and all that stuff. Online. Now, this was an interesting topic leading up to this event. We knew that the game had local multiplayer. And then today we learned that the game does have online, kind of. So what this online is, with your local multiplayer, it's standard multiplayer. Everyone's on the screen. Everyone's doing this, that, and the other, working together. Online, it's not. You're playing the game at the same time as people, but it's not the same game. It's just the same level. And you have this little ghost outline of the other people that are playing the game with you. You can also do friends modes to play with your friends, and you can do like a race with them, but they're always these ghost characters that you don't really interact with unless you die when you're playing, and then one of the characters that's the outline can then save you by jumping on you. I don't hate it because it gives us something to play online together. But I also don't love it because it seems like they did everything within their power to just skirt around what it should have been at the start of this. Standard
Right.
4 people playing through a level, working together. Now, do we think that's a design choice? Like, I don't see. I guess my issue with it is I don't see the reasoning behind it unless it's a technical limitation, because of the fact that you could say, oh, well, they want you to experience the levels, by yourself. When people, it's like, no, because you're playing the same levels that you're playing in local co-op. So what is it about the online where you couldn't just be like, oh, okay, we'll just make it normal? Like, it's the most Nintendo thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
this is very similar to what we see from Demon Souls, where
Yes.
you have the shadows of other players in the area, and you can kind of see what they're doing and playing, though you don't directly interact with them. The only main interaction you would have had with them while you're in that ghost form is that you could leave the notes where you would read, and maybe you get a hint, or maybe a person would sabotage you. So it's very reminiscent of that. And the only reason I could imagine, and we kind of talked about this before in a prior episode, that they're lacking full on online co op multiplayer is that it has to be a technical limitation. And maybe it's due to the physics where you would have 4 people bouncing off each other, running into each other,
Yeah.
picking each other up, throwing each other off a stage. That's the only rational reason I could come up with for lacking that type of functionality that is otherwise present in the local co-op.
Yeah, I agree, Nate. I think that is probably just because of how chaotic 4 players can get. Like, 4-player co-op multiplayer, at least you guys are sort of in the same room and you can like tell each other not to. I guess like ideally we could be in a call or something. But I
Or,
think
Josie, let me tell you something. There's some systems, get this. There are some systems where you could start a party and then you can all talk to each other at the
Yeah,
same
imagine
time
that.
through the system. You don't need a cell phone or anything. Through the actual
or
system.
Discord.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Whoa.
I think it was probably to cut down on the chaos, though. Like, maybe they just thought it would be too much. And then also, my sort of idea is that because in those games, the person in the front of the screen can run and auto scroll it, right? And then it leaves people behind. So I was thinking that
Mhm.
maybe since it's online, they don't want that like maybe if somebody's lagging or their internet's not where it is, that person ends up just dying for no reason because they were like behind on the screen. And then everyone has to keep up with the person at the front. Like maybe they just thought that would be a little bit too chaotic and that could just lead to a lot of
Right.
deaths or something.
Yeah, it could be a case like, oh, you're supposed to be playing online with a group. Sean gets up, he's going to get a drink, and the other 3 people say,
Right.
I'm not waiting for him to come back. We want to keep playing.
Yeah. And
And
then Sean dies.
Hey,
Right.
you know what?
then-
when he comes
Survival of the
back, he's
fittest.
like, you jerks, why did you leave me here?
I would say something much worse than that.
I
But
know.
that's survival of the fittest, manifest destiny. Like, kill or be killed. You know what I'm saying? Kids these days, they have it too easy with their damn video games. Got
Kids
Nabbit.
these days.
Is it true or false?
No, you're right. I just think it's funny.
Nabbit is in the game. You could just, if you want to, like, who's gonna use like a preschooler? Like
Babies.
Little kids, yeah.
But
Yeah.
when we were preschoolers, we were playing Mario 1.
We grew up on the
Dying.
streets. We grew up on the street, Sean. We had to tough it out.
You didn't even have a park, Sean. These kids now, they have a park and
Exactly.
No, I
they
didn't
can-
I didn't have a park. There was no parks. We had to go.
That's what I'm
We
saying.
had to go to where my grandma's town was, which is like 2 towns over, in order to use a park that wasn't
Wow.
filled with like drugs and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where it has the driving assist.
Yeah.
It's so the little kid can pick up the controller, run through the level, feel accomplished. While you and I, when we were growing up, we probably had an older brother or older cousin who was playing the game solo, would give us a controller and say, oh, yeah, you're helping me. And then when they died, blame us and punch us.
there were adults in my life. My
Yeah.
stepdad and my uncle. They filled those roles.
Wow.
My stepdad used to accuse me of not telling him the controls and cheating all the time, and then we would yell at each other. It's very fun. Very fun times.
Good
Yeah,
memories you have.
My brother would blame me if he died in a single-player game, and he would punch me and hit me.
My brother
And
would too. When we played Arkham Knights, I would tell him to go somewhere, and then he'd die, and then he'd freak out.
Are you gonna play that when it comes out on the Switch?
I don't know. Similar to Red Dead, I have a lot of trauma associated with those games. They're good games, though. I've beaten them, but I
I don't think your
Yeah.
brother's gonna beat you up in college.
don't know. He
Right.
could drive here.
just kicks down the dorm room door, say,
He's like, I heard you're
"Surprise!"
playing Arkham. Get ready.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
with the online modes as they detailed, it's it's great that there is online, as we did have the fear that they wouldn't have this type of functionality. It's there. Thank you, Nintendo. You're justifying that $20 a year. Is this a mode either of you will actually utilize?
Yeah. I mean, if we do something for the video, for a video,
Yeah, I
I
can see
guess.
like a Spawncast plays,
But outside of it, I can't say. The way it sits now, I can't say I'm super interested in it.
I think I
Hmm.
would totally use it for like content wise, like streams or something like that. That could be fun, but yeah, I mean, if I wasn't making videos or doing that kind of stuff, I probably wouldn't utilize it too much. Local co-op, I totally will, but
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I view it like my brother will probably pick up the game so his son can play it. So I'm sure there'll be a situation he'll be like, "Oh, play Mario Wonder with your nephew," and maybe I'll play it there. But I mean, ultimately, I guess it's just going to be me babysitting him in the game to watch if he dies, so I can, revive him. But I don't know if I necessarily see the incentive to play the game in this online atmosphere.
Tell him to use Nabbit, and then you don't have to worry about
I,
it.
I'm sure my brother will
he
eventually
can still
say,
fall
"Yeah, you can
off.
just play him."
You know what I thought was interesting though is the fact that Yoshi is the only character that has unique abilities outside of the badges, which I am a big fan of the badges. I thought
Those are
that was
cool.
really cool. But I thought they would do something, akin to Mario 2, where like each character had their own strengths and weaknesses, but they didn't. They're just all the same until you do badges. But then you have Yoshi who can float and,
Right.
suck or eat things in. He's not Kirby. He's not the
I mean, I guess
the throat
The
goat.
throat goat, yeah.
I guess Yoshi having his own unique abilities is kind of canon when you go through the other games, like Yoshi's Story, where he would eat the different colored shells, and even Super Mario World, you eat the red shell, he could shoot fire. Eat the blue shell, he got wings.
Mm.
So that's kind of always an ability Yoshi had in prior games. So maybe that's what they were playing, trying to tribute a bit in the game here. And yeah, the badge system, really innovative idea that expands a lot in terms of replayability, how you can approach the stages, how you'll play the stages. So I love that inclusion.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they didn't give the other characters their own things though, because even in like a recent game like Mario 3D World, they all have their own things. Like Luigi jumps higher, Peach floats, um, Toad's
Mhm.
faster or something like that. So it was interesting that they wanted to keep those maybe the same, but I wonder if it's almost for co-op modes so it doesn't get super confusing and super. But 3D World had
You
co-op.
see,
I don't know.
that's an interesting point because that does reference what Sean was mentioning with Mario Brothers 2. Is that those were the abilities those characters had in that game, so, they already kind of played, an
Yeah.
homage to that reference of Yoshi or, Luigi having the flutter jump, Peach being able to hover, Toad being fast. So they definitely could have referenced it here. Maybe they just don't want to acknowledge Mario Brothers 2 because it's not a true Mario game.
Or maybe like the badge system, they didn't want to overcomplicate it on top of that. Because that can get pretty insane, I think,
True.
right?
But then you could have leveled up these unique abilities via the badge system.
Right.
Have an
Skill
extended
tree it.
hover for Peach and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well, you can only have one badge on at a time though.
Right.
Well, they should have added an
Cuphead
additional
style.
badge.
Nope, one at a time. One
Even
at a
Texas
time.
Chainsaw has 3.
Yeah, that's true. But overall, how are we feeling about this game? We think it's gonna be, let's do something fun. Let's do a Metacritic guess.
Already?
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, what else is there to show? I'm pretty sure they're
True.
done showing
Right.
it. Like,
True.
I will start. I will say an 89.
Okay. I'm gonna go a 92.
Anytime, Nate.
Oh man. 90. I'm gonna go with an even 90.
Okay.
All right.
I'm kind of all within striking distance of each other. But yeah, great looking game. Another banger for Nintendo. No fuss, no muss. It's going to be a really good title. At the very least, it's going to be a really good title because it's not New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. So we got a couple interesting game announcements that I thought were worth mentioning. Of course, we have an update on NSO. Excitebike 64 looking pretty damn crispy on the OLED screen. Definitely some HD textures on there. Still a very fun game. It takes a couple minutes to get used to the controls again, but I'm having fun revisiting this game. I remember playing this game actually in high school, so it wasn't like new at the time, but it was definitely one of those sort of party games that, for controller N64 shit that we would play back in the day.
I mean, it's definitely a blast in the past. When I booted up the game, I saw Nintendo Sports.
Oh, man.
A logo we haven't seen in decades, and then Left Field Production.
Oh, man.
I was like, this was just a different era of Nintendo.
It was a more Western era with some of the things.
Yeah, with Howard Lincoln leading the way.
Fuck Howard Lincoln. Night Trap will never be on a Nintendo system. Really? Really, Howard? Did he die?
No, he's still alive.
All right, so fuck Howard Lincoln. Did you ever play?
I have.
Oh.
I've played Excitebike a little bit. I really like the sports games from the N64. They're actually some of the games that I think hold up the best, and so I'm excited to dive more into Excitebike. And I really like the NES one. It's like one of my favorite NES games. So.
Did you ever play the WiiWare Excitebike game, Josie?
Yeah.
I didn't, but I heard about it like years later, and I was really upset that I never got to experience it.
It's so good.
Get an emulator going.
Yeah. I'll throw it on Dolphin or something.
Yeah, it runs fine on Dolphin.
It's
and
damn
you can use
good.
a controller. Yeah, it's super good.
Did you play Excitebike on the 3DS when they 3D'd it?
No, I got a 3DS like a year ago. My experience with Excitebike has not been super solid, but
you can you can buy an R4 card or you can hack it.
Yeah, I've already sort of done the second one, so.
Wow, well then just download it.
Yeah, I'll throw it on there.
Get H-Shop, and it'll be on H-Shop. It's an app that you can use to download. So that's very, very handy. It's literally like a file system you connect to online, and you can just choose any game and download it.
That is amazing.
Yeah, look into H-Shop.
I will do that.
Yeah, don't pirate, kids, unless you can't give the companies money for the products because they remove them. But yeah, Excitebike 64, pretty cool. And then today, it was like a mini video game conference day because we had the Mario stuff. Of course, Starfield review embargoes went up, but 2 banger titles for the people with gray in their hair were announced. A new G.I. Joe game, beat 'em up style, done at the art style of like Turtles and the upcoming Toxic Crusader game. This looks really good.
It does. I mean, we haven't had a good G.I. Joe game in I don't know how long.
Have we ever had a good G.I. Joe game?
That's a good follow-up question.
I think
we may not have.
The arcade game was pretty good. From 87, I think it was. That was pretty good. The NES was okay-ish. And then there wasn't much. Like there really wasn't much. And then you had the Game Mill or
like a movie tie-in crap.
No, we don't count that. We want the old stuff, okay? And this is the old stuff. Looks great, great visual style, and then completely out of left fucking field. The game that we've deserved for quite a while. A brand new Rugrats game done in an 8-bit style. They're making an NES ROM of it. I think they might actually be making cartridges of it.
Yeah, I think they are. You can play it on an NES.
For the 8-bit style, and then if you buy it on modern platforms or Steam, there's an HD visual style that you could switch to, and it's not just like, here's the game, And then, oh, look, now the textures are in 1080p. This is like all new textures. It's like it's like the Halo collection stuff.
Yeah.
Like Halo 2, where it's like 2 versions of the game.
Yep.
It's like that. And this, it's all OG stuff. Tommy Pickles is a baby. Phil and Lil, babies. Tommy Pickle, or Chucky. What's the fucking redhead's name?
Chucky Finster.
I wanted to call him Finster, but I was like, Finster might be his last name, but it's the fucker from Power Rangers was Finster as well. Yeah, Chucky Finster. A child, like, it looks like old school stuff that would have came out in the appropriate time, not the N64 nonsense Rugrats, but like stuff that would have came out when like I was 11 or 10 or 11.
This is like Super NES style
Yes.
sprites, and they look fantastic, and they stay true to the original cartoons animation style. You immediately recognize them, and I understand. We are 2 men in our mid to late 30s talking about a Rugrats game with excitement, and there's reason for it because it looks phenomenal.
There's a lot of reason for it. Josie, you a fan of Rugrats?
I watched it when I was a kid a little bit, but I haven't. I don't know. I
one?
wasn't deep into it. I don't know, the one that was out in the 2000s.
Oh, you watched All Grown Up.
No. It was like the. What do you?
Wait,
like
not that new one, the computer generated one.
No. They were no.
What was the theme
young.
song?
That came out like 2 years ago.
What was the theme song? Was it?
I think it was the original. It just had. It was like they were all babies.
I got the real question. What was the name of Tommy Pickles' dog?
God, I could not tell you. I watched this like a couple times as a very small kid.
I don't remember.
I'm not a fan.
What was the dinosaur's name?
Reptar.
Man.
Fucking, you had Reptar on ice. And you had Reptar, gotta find that Reptar. When did this come? So this came out.
There's some kids on the ice. What's a dinosaur to do?
So it came out in 91, and then production started again in 93, and it was to 94. So wow, I was a lot younger than I thought I was. So in 91, I was fucking 6 years old. So yeah, this was.
I mean, they were in reruns a lot on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, but
it did. I think it was reruns.
Rugrats and Doug and Hey Arnold were just always.
Remember when they rebooted Doug? That was so lame.
Oh yeah, by Disney.
Oh, God, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Patty Mayonnaise had the interesting haircut. I wanted to say something else. She had the interesting haircut.
Oh, this looks really cute though. The art style looks great.
Wait, did you see when it turns? Watch when it turns HD though. Keep watching.
Okay.
It looks, all of a sudden the sprites become twice the size.
Oh, that's cool. That's kind of Cuphead-esque. Like that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Got Stu. Got Mama
That's
Pickles.
what the cartoon I watched looked like.
All right, so you did see the original. Maybe you saw the movie. Maybe when you saw Rugrats Go to Paris.
Yeah, that was.
No, they were just. I think it was just reruns of.
Well,
but
this is the way you can tell. Was Susie or Dill in the show?
God, you're asking me questions of when I was like 5.
Sean remembers when he was 5.
Yeah, vividly.
Congratulations. I don't.
All right. What about the Dummy Bears?
Is that like a cool version of the gummy bears?
They are kind of like the Care Bears of the Rugrats.
Oh.
Okay. What about Dr. Lipschitz?
Nate, this is such a dead end. Like, I'm pretty sure they were just reruns. Changing subject really quick. The G.I. Joe game looks really cool, actually. I love that art style. The Shredder's Revenge style is very cool.
I'll
probably play it if it's like a beat 'em up.
Isn't it the same company doing both of these games?
It must be, because that looks like an almost.
Who are these gods of the world?
Let me check the tweet.
Oh wow, they're charging $60 for Borderlands 3 on the Switch. R-I-fucking-P. So this is Media Indie Exchange, or published by the Mix Game. So yeah, they're doing Rugrats, and I'm pretty damn sure I saw them, or maybe it was just announced, but I don't know. I don't know what this is. Like, I've never heard of this before, and then all of a sudden I see Rugrats, and I see
Renegade Game Studios.
is doing what?
G.I. Joe.
Okay. And Rugrats. And also, I do have bad news about Rugrats. Physical is through limited run. So you'll never be getting that. Okay, so they're different. They're different companies. This is weird that they announced them at the same time.
Yeah. Did Renegade who did Shredder's Revenge? That looks the art style looks exactly the same.
Well, that's like the new trend because the Toxic Crusaders game. I don't know if you've seen that. Same exact art style. So Renegade Game Studios. Who are you? Who are you? Why? I feel like I should know who you are. Let's see here. I did a game called Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
That's
saw that.
very questionable to say the least. Let's look at the game studios
Power
here.
Rangers, My Little Pony. So I guess they do a lot of like licensed stuff maybe.
So they do board games and stuff.
Yeah, they're bigger than just a video game.
So they're dabbling into video. Interesting.
They do like books. I think there's books on here too.
Yeah. Oh, well, hey, you know what? Good for them.
Weird.
Are you sure that this is the company doing the G.I. Joe game, Josie?
Yes, you can see it on their page.
Mm-hmm.
G.I. Joe, welcome to the treacherous coils of Cobra.
Wrath of Cobra is the name of the game.
Treacherous coils of Cobra. So, there it is.
Okay. Unlike what Josie was saying, developer Maple Powered Games and publisher Freedom Games will be handling G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra coming to Nintendo Switch and PC in Q1 of 2024.
I literally looked at what?
Look at the Steam page. Cobra rears its ugly head again, and it's up to G.I. Joe to save the world, embracing the 1980s era of the iconic universe. Wrath of Cobra is a retro side-scrolling beat-em-up. Play as one of the legendary G.I. Joe characters, including Duke, Scarlet, Roadblock, Snake Eyes, and more. Defeat hordes of Cobra Troopers, Vipers, Crimson Guards, and more of Cobra's I can't say that word. Malevolent masochist? Okay, whatever. Fuck you. It's a goddamn
masochist?
No, it's MACHINATIONS. What the fuck is that word? Machinations? What the fuck is that word?
I can't believe I got this so wrong. I looked at wow.
MACHIN. Josie, how do you say this? MACHINATINOS. I've never heard of this word.
MACHINATOS?
No. MACHINATINOS.
Machinatons? I don't know.
Machinations?
That is crazy that's a word that yikes.
So you got a retro soundtrack, post-launch support.
I can't believe I just lied to
online co-op. Look at that. Fucking G.I. Joe and goddamn Maple Powered Games, who I've never heard of until this point in time.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe. I hope they could have Sergeant Slaughter in the game. Let's see. Maple Powered Games. Okay. Oh, they did really nothing. They did Monster Harvest, classic game on the. I mean, it looks fine. You know, it's a harmless game, and I think that's the only game they've done. Oh, wait a second, I did find a problem.
Uh-oh.
They're Canadian.
That's why they're using terminology like machinations instead of just saying plot.
Yeah. Now I'm a little skeptical about this. Anyways, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up since this last 10 minutes has been completely off the rails with Josie Woe lying to you about
I'm sorry. I looked it up and it literally gave me I was like, who's making the G.I. Joe Wrath of whatever?
Wrath of the Cobra.
Wrath of the Cobra. I'm shocked.
So I'm RGT85 as always, joined by Josie Woe. Josie, feel free to
Yep.
say
I'll,
toodles to everyone.
I'll issue a public apology for that. I'm sorry.
You should.
Should I play the ukulele? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You can
It's been
play
fun.
a ukulele while playing ukulele. And Nate the Hate. Nate.
Today's episode was brought to you by the word Machinations, a plot.
And the Patreon.
And the
And
Patreon.
the
And
Patreon.
Jono. Shout out to Jono, as always. I don't know if we're just supposed to do that on Spawncast, but
On everything.
Spawnwave John sucks at life, so we'll give it to
Wow.
you here too, Jono. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the Patreon, and we'll see you guys next time.